Great Wall remains exceed 20,000 kilometers, yet never formed one continuous barrier. A rebuilt ancient town and shrinking glaciers challenge claims of an untouched past. Fresh mortar fills gaps between weathered bricks, replacement timber braces old houses, safety rails grip granite cliffs, while workers clear water channels beneath crowded streets. These details rarely dominate the wide shot, yet they explain why so much of China's heritage remains visible. I used to think age alone gave these places their authority, but age can become a sales label. A temple may be historic, while cableways and paved routes reshape the mountain around it. Rebuilt streets may honor a real ceramic trade while confusing evidence with theater. Sacred lakes can still absorb wastewater, engine noise, and rising demand. The skeptical question is not whether the beauty is real, it is what must be repaired, controlled, or pushed aside to preserve that beauty. Across China, rivers cut trade corridors through hard rock, deserts force settlements to defend narrow supplies of water, glaciers feed valleys while their lower edges retreat. Granite peaks demand stairs, bridges, rails, and cables anchored above severe drops. None of this heritage survives through age alone. It depends on engineering, local knowledge, physical labor, and limits placed on commerce and crowds. In this video, we test China's most extraordinary landscapes against the work and environmental pressure that keep them standing and examine what remains when spectacle begins to outrank reality. An ancient civilization rose on terrain that never offered stability for free. Across China, 3 levels descend from the Tibetan Plateau through western basins and deserts to eastern plains, driving most major rivers toward the Pacific. That slope opened a few corridors and blocked many others. Geography did not merely frame power, it rationed movement, water, and grain. In the north, the Yellow River carried fertile lues into millet and wheat fields. The same unstable soil helped the river breach embankments and change course. Farther south, warmth and heavier rain favored rice, dense settlement, and waterborne trade, but monsoon rain arrived unevenly, so abundance could turn into crop failure. This is where the polished picture of continuity becomes suspect. Irrigation ditches, embankments, grain stores, and relief measures were not scenery. They tested government. Early states formed inside this pressure. The Shang left the first substantial body of Chinese writing, fixing administration and memory in durable marks. Then, in 221 BCE, the Qin joined competing kingdoms under one rule. Measures, currency, administration, and writing conventions became tools for binding difficult ground. Roads extended that grip, but canals carried the heavier load. The Grand Canal moved tax grain and supplies from the Yangtze region toward northern capitals. Silk Road corridors opened the interior toward Central Asia. Examinations and bureaucracy later gave successive dynasties a shared administrative language across enormous distance. Yet integration never erased local life. Mountains, migration, border exchange, and ecology kept producing distinct dialects, cuisines, buildings, and identities. Confucian ethics shaped family and public duty. Taoism tested balance with natural forces. Buddhism built monasteries, pilgrimage routes, and art. These traditions offered order, but none canceled environmental pressure. China's continuity becomes credible only when canals, granaries, and beliefs are set beside the floods, empty fields, and labor that forced adaptation. The world's most famous wall is not one wall at all. It is a broken network of walls, trenches, passes, forts, and beacon towers built by different states across more than 2,000 years. Surveyed remains from several dynasties run for more than 20,000 kilometers. Large stretches now lie eroded, buried, or divided by open ground. That gap matters. The seamless stone barrier fixed in popular memory hides a structure that shifted with terrain, dynasties, and available material. Northern builders compressed earth inside wooden frames. Near strategic approaches to Beijing, Ming engineers raised brick and dressed stone strong enough for steep ridges and guarded gates. Farther west, where timber and masonry were scarce, workers layered reeds, gravel, and tamped soil. Engineering followed scarcity, not a single master design. The wall could not seal an entire frontier. It watched movement, delayed fast crossings, and pushed armies, merchants, livestock, and envoys toward controlled gates. Shanhaiguan guarded the coast, Zhuyongguan a mountain approach, and Jiayuguan the Hexi corridor. At these gates, military control met trade and diplomacy. Beacon towers sent smoke by day and fire at night. Mounted messengers carried the detail that a distant signal could not hold. But warning was the easy part. Every garrison consumed grain, fodder, water equipment, and replacement troops. Military farms helped, while long transport chains kept remote posts operating. Construction and repair pulled soldiers, conscripted farmers, convicts, artisans, and local laborers onto exposed ridges. Summer heat, winter snow, severe wind, exhaustion, family separation, and long absence set the real price. Exact losses remain unknown. That uncertainty deserves skepticism, not a cleaner legend. Popular memory kept the burden because monumental scale was never achieved by stone alone. Stone is only the visible remainder. The frontier itself ran on supply chains, coerced labor, and years of separation. The image that made this river town famous may also be pushing its daily life out of frame. Along the Tuojiang River, steep hills compress Fenghuang into one narrow corridor, where Qing-era walls and timber homes now face modern tourist pressure. The old core grew as an administrative, military, and trading center between the western Hunan highlands and China's interior. Its gates, watchtowers, and official buildings were tools of control, not decoration. But the town was never made by one authority or one people. Miao, Tuye, and Han residents exchanged goods, food, customs, and building skills across this tight river passage. The clearest engineering answer stands over the bank. Diaoixiaolu houses use timber supports to claim floor space above steep ground and fluctuating water. That solution is elegant, but never effortless. Dampness, insects, floods, and heavy use keep foundations, drains, and wooden frames under constant inspection. Hong Bridge, covered crossings, stone steps, and small boats divide the same confined space into routes for trade and daily movement. The town works because people keep those routes working. After dark, lanterns and commercial lighting turn facades and reflections into Fenghuang's most saleable image, beauty here is now an industry. Morning exposes what the lights conceal. Food deliveries, washing, school journeys, waste collection, and repairs before the largest groups arrive. The bargain is uneven. Tourism can pay for jobs and conservation, yet it can also replace neighborhood shops, raise housing costs, and convert homes into accommodation. Shen Kangwen brought wider attention to Western Hunan by writing about its people as well as its landscape. That distinction matters now. If residents and ordinary routines are pushed beyond the old core, polished architecture will remain, but the culture behind it will not. Without inhabited river life, Fenghuang becomes a lighting set, requiring ever more maintenance. A cable car can erase hours of ascent, but it cannot hide what the mountain is losing. North of Lijiang, 13 prominent peaks run for roughly 35 kilometers, and Shanzidou rises to nearly 5,600 meters. The climb is brutally compressed. Broadleaf forest gives way to conifers, alpine meadow, bare rock, snowfields, and small glaciers within one steep vertical chain. These climate bands hold varied habitats and send runoff towards streams, wetlands, farms, and settlements across the Lijiang Basin. At the Baishui River and Blue Moon Valley, fine glacial and limestone sediment can turn water pale blue or milky. The color attracts attention, the water route supports life below. Cableways carry large crowds rapidly toward high viewing areas, replacing a long ascent with a rapid mechanical climb. Distance collapses, altitude does not. Thin air, cold, wind, and sudden clouds still restrict movement. Staff control queues, handle medical trouble, and close access when weather tightens. The same access makes reduced snow cover and shrinking ice easier to observe. Convenience has brought climate pressure into plain view. Glacier retreat changes more than the ridgeline. It affects cold habitats and seasonal runoff, raising harder questions for the basin below. For the Naxi people, this is not merely a scenic platform. Jade Dragon belongs to Dongba sacred geography, origin narratives, ritual traditions, and the protective deity San Duo. Changes in snow, ice, and water therefore reach into culture as well as terrain. Belief, habitat, and water remain bound to the same mountain. The cableway is not the main achievement. The harder test is managing heavy access without weakening water routes and living traditions. Jade Dragon loses credibility if its ice contracts and Naxi meaning is reduced to performance. The mountain will be judged not by cableway capacity, but by what remains protected below. A Tang ceramic shard tells Tongwen's story more honestly than the ancient-looking streets now built around it. The facades are modern, while the ceramic industry they evoke ran from the 8th to the 10th centuries and supplied buyers far beyond China. That distinction matters. Rebuilt lanes can suggest an intact Tang settlement, but the firm evidence survives nearby in kiln walls, inscriptions, discarded shards, and excavated cargo. Industrial scale survives inside ordinary pottery. Bowls, jars, ewers, storage vessels, and toys move through workshops built for volume, not ceremony. Every finished piece carried many hands. Workers selected and cleaned clay, mixed it, shaped it by wheel or hand, then dried, painted, glazed, and stacked it. Long dragon kilns climbed sloping ground. Crews gathered wood and controlled heat across chambers where temperature never stayed completely even. That uneven fire left a blunt record. Cracked, warped, and poorly glazed wares entered waste heaps that now reveal technique, output, and repeated failure. Success required more than heat. Iron and copper pigments carried flowers, landscapes, calligraphy, short poems, and designs adjusted for customers outside China. The river completed the production chain. Packed ceramics traveled down the Lijiang toward Dongting Lake, the Yangtze network, and coastal ports, with breakage and trade uncertainty built into every load. The strongest proof surfaced far away. Tens of thousands of Changsha ceramics recovered from the 9th century Belitung shipwreck near Indonesia placed these workshops inside maritime Silk Road trade. Foreign demand therefore reached back into the kiln. It influenced decoration, set production rhythms, consumed timber, and tied local labor to distant markets. Museums and reconstructed workshops can make that chain legible. They can also bury it beneath a polished townscape that looks older than it is. The shard, not the facade, is Tongwen's hard evidence. Workers, fuel, rejected clay, and riverborne risk remain embedded in it. Huashan's sacred root is also a vertical work site, maintained where granite leaves almost no margin. 5 principal summits rise from pale granite above Huashan, and South Peak reaches about 2,200 meters, with almost no level ground between them. Uplift, jointing, and erosion split the rock into steep walls, tight ridges, and deep ravines. Every route inherits that geometry. For centuries, pilgrims and Taoist practitioners entered through Huashan Gorge, climbing steps cut directly into stone and gripping iron chains beside near-vertical sections. The mountain forced a strict sequence. North Peak served as the gateway, Central Peak linked the summit ground, and exposed stairs carried movement toward the higher ridges. Temples, shrines, and small hermitages occupy ledges where builders had to fit foundations into rock. There was no broad platform waiting for them. That physical constraint shaped more than 2,000 years of pilgrimage, Taoist cultivation, and imperial mountain worship. Cable cars now reach the north and west peaks. They shorten the ascent, but they do not remove the exposed stairways joining the granite ridges. The famous plank walk is often allowed to dominate Huashan's image. In fact, it is a short, optional section crossed with a safety harness, not the mountain's only route. The larger pressure is less theatrical. Rain slicks the steps, ice reduces grip, gusting wind unsettles exposed ground, and fatigue narrows the margin for error. Crowds add another load on narrow summit links. A delay spreads backward, compressing movement where the mountain offers almost no spare width. Behind every handhold is maintenance. Workers must inspect chains, stone steps, barriers, and platforms, while weather keeps pulling at each exposed fitting. Every shrine and iron handhold carries a second history. Crews at work, crowds in motion, and weather pulling at the root. Lijiang's waterways look ornamental, yet the town once depended on them for drinking, washing, workshops, gardens, and public space. At roughly 2,400 meters, Water from Black Dragon Pool splits across Dayan, passes through courtyards and wells, then gathers again downstream. This was not decoration laid around a preserved town. It was communal infrastructure, held together by rules on access, cleanliness, scheduled releases, and channel clearing. The 3 pool wells made the discipline visible, 1 basin for drinking, 1 for washing food, and 1 for laundry. Clean water depended on sequence. That order demanded residents who understood the channels and accepted daily limits. Remove the shared duty, and the water network becomes scenery with plumbing beneath it. The streets follow slope and water rather than a rigid rectangular plan. Timber and earth houses form courtyards shaped for the mountain climate, but flexibility never meant immunity. The 1996 earthquake exposed that tension. Traditional frames could yield, but old fabric still demanded skilled repair. Age alone preserves nothing. Tea horse road markets moved tea, horses, salt, cloth, and medicine, bringing Naxi, Tibetan, Bai, Han, and other influences together. Naxi culture still lives in Dungba pictographic manuscripts. Ritual knowledge, music, language, and domestic architecture. The critical word is lives. UNESCO recognition in 1997 strengthened conservation and widened Lijiang's global reach. It also accelerated the conversion of homes into shops, bars, restaurants, and guest houses. Property values and visitor noise pressed against residential life. A courtyard can remain intact while the household knowledge that maintained it moves elsewhere. Preservation and continuity have begun to separate. Restored timber, clean channels, and staged customs can sustain an image without sustaining a town. Lijiang remains living heritage, while canals serve households and Naxi culture remains daily knowledge. Commerce and performance alone can preserve the image, not the town. Before pilgrims reach Mount Wutai's temples, winter has already tested every roof joint and mountain route. North Terrace rises just above 3,000 meters, where strong winds, long winters, and a short growing season punish timber, roofs, roots, and pilgrims. 5 broad summits surround a religious landscape in Shaanxi. Wutai is one of China's 4 sacred Buddhist mountains, long associated with Manjushri, the bodhisattva of wisdom. But its meaning was never confined to one gate or one monument. Pilgrimage requires movement between temples. The hardest circuit reaches all 5 terraces. Distance is part of the structure. Cold, wind, and changing elevation turn belief into physical work, while roofs, courtyards, and sheltered halls offer measured protection. Taihuai Valley holds the densest concentration of monasteries and the Great White Pagoda. Beyond it, isolated temples occupy forests, slopes, and high roots. The strongest proof is not ceremonial display, but timber under load. Fenghuang Temple's East Hall preserves 9th century Tang construction on an exceptional scale. Nearby Nanshan Temple contains an even earlier surviving wooden hall. Such structures persist through repeated repair and reconstruction, not through timber resisting weather unaided. Daily labor continues beneath the public rituals. Bells, chanting, incense, study, accommodation work, and the care of old wooden structures keep the mountain active. Care is not background service. It is the physical condition that allows worship, shelter, and inherited craft to remain joined. Polished pilgrimage route can still conceal the burden carried by workers and religious communities. Once ancient halls become detached exhibits, sacred continuity begins to thin. When repair stops, old timber becomes an exhibit and pilgrimage becomes managed circulation. The hands maintaining the 5 terraces keep those losses from becoming permanent. A mountain can be engineered so completely that access begins to compete with the land itself. Above Zhangye, a cableway runs roughly 7.5 kilometers, while a road drives through 99 bends toward a forested summit about 1,500 meters high. The journey starts unusually close to the city. The cable line clears farmland and settlements before crossing deep valleys, turning an ordinary urban edge into a major lift toward the plateau. Tonkin Avenue takes the harder route. Its tight bends cut into the slope, forcing vehicles to gain height where straight roads cannot hold. From the upper plaza, 999 steps rise to Tianmen Cave, a natural opening about 130 meters high that passes completely through the limestone cliff. Water worked along weakened rock. Weathering and fracturing enlarged the opening. Later, the repeated nines linked the ascent with ideas of heaven and permanence. The sequence is the message: cable, road, staircase, then an opening through the mountain. Engineering controls not only access, but how Tianmen is understood. Above the cave, paths hold to forest and exposed plateau edges. Crews inspect glass, barriers, drainage, and cliffside fixings, while narrow walkways absorb heavy visitor flows. Yet the strongest force cannot be scheduled. Moist air can thicken into dense cloud within minutes, removing the city and nearby ridges before releasing them again. Rain strips friction from the stone steps. Wind presses against exposed paths, and every crowded section leaves less room for error. Tianmen is often grouped with Greater Zhangye, but it is not the sandstone pillar landscape of Wuling Yuan. Its identity lies in this engineered sequence from city street to limestone arch. The cableway and road conquer distance. Wet rock, forest, and crowding keep that conquest provisional. The waterfall that defines Furong also keeps its timber town under constant pressure. Above the Yu River, the broad fall drops beneath lower streets and stilt houses. Water and settlement occupy the same cramped bank. Furong was once Wangkun, a river landing built for mountain communities blocked by difficult terrain. Boats brought salt, cloth, tools, and household supplies, then carried farm and forest products downstream. Stone lanes climb from the former docks toward homes, workshops, stalls, and trading spaces. Vertical movement organizes a town with almost no flat land. At Furong, Dio Xiaolu turn a cliff edge into buildable ground. Uphill frames anchor rooms, while downhill posts carry them above the wet bank. Timber frames can be repaired in sections, a crucial advantage where wet air, runoff, and changing river conditions keep working into the wood. Maintenance never stops. Drainage, deliveries, kitchens, and repairs must function inside a town now expected to perform as heritage. Fenghuang belongs to a wider Tujia region shaped by brocade, music, dance, food, oral tradition, and local chieftain rule. These remain living practices, not surface treatment. Wangkun gained national attention through the 1980s film Hibiscus Town, then later adopted the name Fenghuang. A working river market became a destination. Restored facades, restaurants, guest houses, illuminated walkways, and dense evening crowds now frame the waterfall. They also make commerce easier to see than the work holding the slope together. The waterfall dominates Fenghuang's night view, but its real demands appear behind the facades: clear drains, supplied kitchens, and wet timber under repair. Fenghuang's real engineering feat is a durable town built from timber, stone, boats, and inherited skill. When maintenance and living culture disappear behind lighting and commerce, the polished image is all that remains. Pipes, restored wetlands, and shoreline rules now govern how the Dali Basin lives with Erhai. Erhai runs roughly 42 kilometers, yet villages, fields, roads, and irrigation are squeezed into a narrow strip between mountain and water. The Kangshan Mountains rise abruptly to the west. Short, fast streams cut across alluvial fans and feed the fertile shore. For Bai communities, that thin margin has carried fishing, farming, transport, markets, ceremony, and family memory. The lake is not scenery added to life, it is the ground of it. Traditional Bai courtyards make that continuity physical. Whitewashed walls, gray tiles, painted decoration, and screen walls that reflect light into sheltered interiors. Xizhou and Shuanglang now expose different bargains among old buildings, agriculture, tourism, and the waterfront. Preservation here is never only masonry. Seasonal rain drives water through streams, drains, and fields, carrying nutrients toward the lake. Long dry periods reverse the pressure. Less water must serve more demands. Rapid construction around Dali strained sewage works. Agricultural runoff added nutrients that can feed algal growth, turning growth on land into a threat in the water. The response has been heavy and visible. Wastewater controls restored wetlands, development setbacks, and restrictions on some lakeside businesses. Those measures can protect freshwater, but they also redraw daily life. They decide where residents may farm, build, fish, or reach the shore. Tourism adds another load. Cycling routes and guest houses can bring income, while the polished waterfront pushes working land and ordinary access farther from the image. The calm is manufactured daily. Pipes carry waste away, wetlands absorb pressure, and households adjust to rules written for the whole lake. Erhai remains a living Bai landscape only if cleaner water does not require its people, work, and memory to disappear behind a perfect shoreline. Sacred Summit, shaped by pilgrimage, now survives by controlling crowds. Fanjingshan rises more than 2,500 meters, and thousands of steps funnel pilgrims and tourists toward two tiny temples on a divided rock pillar. The pillar is Red Cloud's golden summit. A deep cleft splits its crown, while a short stone bridge joins temples dedicated to the Buddha and Maitreya. It is not the mountain's highest point. Its force comes from compression, centuries of pilgrimage, masonry, weather, and restricted footing packed onto one narrow tower. Every tile, timber, tool, meal, and container of water had to move along paths pinned between cliffs and abrupt weather. The temples look light only because the labor is hidden. The larger massif carries another burden. Rising above surrounding karst country, it preserves old subtropical and temperate forests in separate bands of elevation. That isolation shelters the endangered Gizu snub-nosed monkey, the rare Fanjingshan fir, and moisture-dependent plants. Their wild space is already extremely limited. This concentration of endemic life helped secure UNESCO World Heritage status in 2018. Recognition raised the mountain's profile. It did not widen its paths or habitats. Moist air condenses on the upper slopes, soaking forest and stone, laying down frost, then opening without warning. On steep stairs, weather becomes traffic control. Barriers and controlled routes reduce pressure on slippery stairs, yet concentrated visitor traffic still presses visitors, supplies, and expectations through the same tight corridor. Habitat protection prevents access from spreading freely, and that limit matters. Wider access can put rare habitat under pressure elsewhere. Mushroom Stone and the old Golden Summit record the same physical contest. Resistant rock remains while softer material wears away. At Fanjingshan, success may look like an emptier summit. Fewer feet on the paths and more space for monkeys, firs, and forest. Four summits carry the gentle name Four Girls, but the youngest rises into terrain that refuses easy passage. In local tradition, Yaomei is that youngest sister. At nearly 6,300 meters, steep rock, snow, ice, and unstable weather turn ascent into a technical operation. West of Chengdu, the road pushes through deep river gorges toward Shaojin County, climbing quickly to the eastern edge of the Tibetan Plateau. That compressed rise changes the rules. Broadleaf forest gives way to conifers, grassland, exposed rock, permanent snow, and ice. The three lower summits are more accessible than Yaomei, but thin air still demands acclimatization, measured effort, and the willingness to stop. Access also depends on which valley carries the load. Shuangqiao has a road, making broad mountain views possible with less time on foot. Shangping runs beneath Yaomei through woodland and pasture, then feeds longer trekking and climbing routes into harsher ground. Haizi is rougher. Alpine lakes and high meadows often require sustained walking or support from locally handled horses. Those differences are not travel options on a menu. They reveal how access is engineered around altitude and terrain. Guides judge conditions. Drivers navigate narrow roads. Horse handlers move loads, lodge workers sustain the approach, and rescue teams remain ready when movement breaks down. Rain, snow, loose rock, and thin air can close the margin quickly. Nearby Tibetan and Qiang communities continue lives shaped by grazing, food, settlement, and religious practice. The mountain also sits within the Sichuan giant panda sanctuaries, so roads and visitor access press against terrain valued far beyond the four peaks. Untouched height turns out to require extensive human control. Xiaomei's ice is the icon. Guides, drivers, horse handlers, lodge workers, and rescuers make every approach possible. At Zhangye, the boundary between seeing and damaging the hills is one step wide. The bands took millions of years to form. A crushed crust can loosen sediment and give the next hard rain a new erosion channel. Zhangye Colorful Danxia lies beside the Hexi Corridor, the narrow passage that historically linked the Chinese heartland with Central Asia between the Kilian Mountains and the northern deserts. Snowmelt from the Kilian Range sustains scattered oases. Beyond them, aridity kept vegetation sparse and left large areas of rock exposed. The color began as ordinary sand, silt and clay, laid down under changing conditions across immense spans of time. Iron-bearing minerals oxidized into red and ochre. Differences in mineral content and grain size formed bands of yellow, gray, and pale green. Then regional pressure folded and tilted beds that had once been nearly horizontal, exposing their internal order at the surface. Erosion keeps cutting. Short, forceful rain carves gullies, wind carries off loose particles, and softer layers retreat faster than harder ones. Dense vegetation cannot easily take hold, so little hides the structure. That openness creates the view and leaves erosion free to keep working. Light can mislead the eye as much as color. Low sun deepens shadows. Rain strengthens mineral tones, and flat midday light can mute the same hills. Tourism turns this geological record into a polished image, easily detached from the weak ground underneath it. The response is controlled movement. Shuttle routes, raised walkways, and fixed platforms concentrate pressure where it can be managed. That infrastructure limits spontaneous access, but unrestricted access would damage the exact formations visitors came to see. Zhangye is not a painted backdrop. It records deposition, uplift, oxidation, and continuing removal beside one of Eurasia's most important historic corridors. The raised path is not separate from Zhangye's beauty. It is what keeps modern feet from erasing the soft ground beneath the colors. Sacred landscape that appears to fit the mountain without effort was built by an empire moving workers, materials, and supplies up severe slopes. In the early 15th century, the Ming Emperor Yongle organized construction across terrain rising to more than 1,600 meters. Wudang was not flattened into a single ceremonial platform. Builders spread gates, bridges, paths, palaces, and temples along a ritual climb from foothills to summit. That decision made the mountain part of worship. It also multiplied the burden of access, drainage, repair, and supply. Purple Cloud Palace occupies a protected basin. At South Cliff, structures grip exposed slopes, while the gilded copper Golden Hall crowns Tianzhu Peak. These placements look inevitable now. They were calculated decisions about rock, shelter, weight, and weather. The sacred landscape is tied to Zhenwu, a Taoist deity associated with the north, water, and imperial protection. Yet belief alone did not carry beams uphill or keep roofs sealed. Every spiritual route depended on physical work. Wudang also became an enduring center of Taoist physical culture. Its movement traditions stress breath, balance, controlled motion, and the redirection of force. The familiar claim that the legendary Zhang Sanfeng originated these arts is not simple documented history. The tradition matters, but certainty would be false. Body and building follow the same practical rule. Read pressure, adjust timing, and do not resist blindly. Fire risk, severe weather, political change, and heavy use have forced repeated restoration. On steep ground, even the damaged path or retaining wall can disrupt the whole ascent. Conservation here is not a final polish. It is workers and materials returning whenever exposure opens another weakness. Wudang's apparent harmony is renewed each time workers carry materials uphill and close another weakness in the route. A river bend printed on national currency is being asked to serve as scenery, transport route, workplace, and tourism engine at once. The best-known reach runs more than 80 kilometers from Guilin toward Yangshuo, while the bend near Xinping appears on the 20 yuan banknote. The limestone towers began as beds beneath an ancient sea. Uplift exposed them to slightly acidic water which entered fractures and widened them. Over immense time, that erosion opened caves, sinkholes, underground channels, and isolated peaks. The river took the lowest path. This is not empty scenery. The channel links rice fields, orchards, bamboo villages, ferry points, and working banks. Seasonal water changes the route. Summer rain deepens and accelerates the river, while dry periods expose gravel bars. Narrow channels restrict some boats. A landscape sold as timeless is governed by rainfall, depth, and safe passage. Cruise vessels and bamboo-style rafts support a large tourism economy. The trade depends on pilots, guides, dock workers, vendors, maintenance crews, and riverside accommodation. Farming, fishing, ferries, and local transport preserve older ties to the water, though their economic weight differs among villages. Traditional cormorant fishing shows how easily work becomes display. Birds once retrieved fish with restraints preventing them from swallowing larger catches, but many performances now mainly serve visitors. The peaks dominate the Li River's public identity. The harder evidence sits at docks, working banks, and village lanes. Boat traffic, sewage, shoreline construction, and crowds put water quality and village life under pressure. These costs do not vanish when the surface looks calm. Nine-Horse Fresco Hill and the Xingping Bend remain powerful landmarks. Their value weakens if the route around them becomes only a stage. Degrade the water or displace the villages, and the famous silhouette becomes a stage with no working river behind it. Beside one of China's hottest basins, vineyards survive on water that rarely sees the sun. The flaming mountains run for 100 kilometers east of Turpan. Parallel gullies cut the exposed red sandstone. Deep shadow and hard sunlight make the ridges seem to ripple, but the effect is geology, not fire. Low elevation, clear skies, dry air, and surrounding mountains intensify summer heat. Air can exceed 40 degrees Celsius. Exposed ground has passed 70 degrees. Almost no vegetation shields the slopes. Journey to the west turned that pressure into legend, with the Monkey King seeking a magical fan to extinguish the mountains. Memorable fiction can make survival look effortless. The harder achievement beside the red ridges was capturing snowmelt descending from the Tian Shan Mountains. The Kara's channels slope gently underground, carrying groundwater toward fields and settlements while limiting evaporation. An open canal would surrender too much water to the air. Vertical shafts still mark some routes. Dug for construction, ventilation, and access, they also expose the repeated labor needed to keep water moving. That labor supported people, livestock, grain, fruit, and Turpan's vineyards. The oasis was not an escape from the desert. It was an engineered bargain with it. Ventilated brick structures used the hot, dry air to turn grapes into raisins. Once water enabled cultivation, pressure from the climate became a working tool. Dependable water points carried Silk Road traffic through the corridor. Caravans linked oasis to oasis, passing Gaochong and the Bezeklik caves instead of entering the driest ground unsupported. Geology, trade, belief, and fiction converge here, but water decides where life can hold. The flames draw attention, the shafts reveal the cost. Strip away maintained channels and human labor, and the spectacle becomes shallow. The real monument is the oasis kept alive under heat, one repaired passage at a time. Glacier descending toward temperate forest is also pulling away from it. Hailuogou drops from the eastern side of Mount Ganga, a peak nearly 7,600 meters high. Sit's main glacier has historically stretched roughly 14 kilometers, but its lower edge keeps changing as the ice retreats. Hailuogou is a temperate monsoon glacier. Heavy snowfall feeds the upper reaches, while warm, wet conditions hold parts of the ice close to melting temperature. Water moves within and beneath the glacier. It helps the ice deform and descend, but it also increases instability. Gravity takes over the ice drops through an icefall more than 1,000 meters high, splitting the surface into towers, crevasses, and unstable blocks. Lower down, the glacier carries rock into moraines and spreads debris across its own surface. That cover can conceal voids beneath ground that appears firm. The lower margin approaches old conifers, moss, and dense undergrowth. This meeting of ice and temperate forest looks permanent only from a distance. Newly exposed soil records, where the glacier once held ground. Lichens arrive, then grasses, shrubs, and trees, turning retreat into a visible timeline. Human access must move as well. Roads, trails, viewing areas, and cable access must be adjusted when landslides, earthquakes, weather, and moving ice alter safe routes. Every revision is maintenance under pressure, not a final conquest. Weather and unstable slopes keep changing safe access to the glacier. Retreat also shifts seasonal runoff and cold-adapted habitat. An untouched white monument is the least truthful version of Hailuogou. Its evidence lies in moving routes, hidden voids, and exposed ground where ice once stood. Retreat and constant rerouting must remain visible. Preservation cannot hold this landscape still. It must adapt to a glacier whose lower edge keeps moving. Heavenly Lake looks permanent, yet its water is held in place by rubble left by vanished ice. At about 1,900 meters on the Bogda Range's northern side, the crescent-shaped basin runs roughly 3.5 kilometers and drops to about 100 meters. Glaciers carved the hollow and left debris that helped contain water. Snowmelt and mountain precipitation now maintain the lake despite the strong evaporation of the lower basin. The route up from the Zhangye Basin crosses a sudden environmental break. Dry plains and foothills tighten into river valleys, Tian Shan spruce, alpine meadow, and snow-covered heights. This is more than a scenic change. Across this part of Central Asia, dependable highland moisture decides where settlements, pasture, and agriculture can endure. Winter freezes the lake. Summer brings grazing and peak tourism into the same limited highland. Kazakh pastoral traditions follow grazing conditions with sheep, horses, and mobile yurt shelters. The tourism season brings buses, boat walks, restaurants, and concentrated crowds. The lake is not large enough to absorb that pressure without consequence. Erosion can spread under concentrated foot traffic, vegetation wears down, noise carries, and water quality can shift quickly. The polished view depends on waste crews and shoreline management. These are not secondary services. They keep the alpine lake from being damaged by its popularity. The old story of the Queen Mother of the West gives Tianqi a mythic status, but myth can also make pressure at the water's edge easier to ignore. Its place within the UNESCO-listed Xinjiang Tianshan landscape raises the standard. Protection must cover the basin, the grassland, the shoreline, and seasonal use, not merely preserve a clean view. Heavenly Lake loses value when legend conceals erosion, noise, and the pressure placed on this limited body of water. The way I see it, China's ancient landscapes do not need a myth of permanence to command respect. Their real power lies in the strain required to keep them legible. Mortar reset, timber dried, paths secured, channels cleared, water protected, and local knowledge passed forward. Beauty without that burden becomes advertising. Preservation without residence becomes staging. The warning is physical. Crowds grind down soft rock. Heavy commerce can empty historic streets of ordinary life. Warming can redraw mountain water supplies. Faster than monuments can be repaired. China's claim to continuity will depend less on spectacular images than on who can care for these places. Work within them and remain nearby. In an age of mass tourism and climate pressure, stewardship is national infrastructure. It reveals what a powerful country is prepared to protect when growth presses against inheritance. Keep asking who repairs these landscapes, who protects their water and stone, and who can remain when spectacle becomes the main business. That question changes how heritage is judged.